Well, hello, you bearded bastards, and welcome back once again to Locum Cor Zugabla Lokukun, Obak, the Spearcavern, the grand granite shrine of pillars, where things are moving along quite swimmingly, I'd say. You'll most definitely recall that recently we opened up the Cobalt Room, Spearcavern's tavern, our first public tavern, that is, and we have had quite a few visitors, many of whom are still here. Very, interesting visitors, ones who elicit a little bit of concern if I have to be frank, but we're keeping a very close eye on them and they shouldn't cause any troubles, I don't think. But time will tell on that one, I suppose. We have a particularly close eye cast on this one over here, Aerith Squirtbook, our newest visitor. Completely naked, just has a crown and a book. Very strange. Looks like Erdem showed up again, currently telling a poem over here, just surrounded absolutely by dogs. Oh, careful there, Erdem, don't fall into the water. Just a quick misstep, it was completely fine, seemingly. It looks like we have Bombwreck the poet here as well. An undead creature, a faded one, to be precise. We've been finding these characters very interesting to interact with. Despite their sometimes ghoulish appearance, they are very, very entertaining. Really been helping to boost the mood around here, which is good to see. Oh, and yes, speaking of visitors into our fortress home, over here at the trade depot, our new trade depot, we have the humans. They've come to do some trading, and we've been very, very bad at trading recently. I say recently, it's more like the past decade or so. The thing is that we've been producing everything that we need. We are without want here in Spearcavern, but we figure it's for the best if we start, getting a little bit better with that whole thing. Make nice with the neighbors. We've got a tavern, we've got visitors in here. Might as well fully commit to the bit while we're at it. Let's show a-viary what a tiny group of dwarves can do. And so yes, we're bringing a whole load of items over here to the trade depot. We have a lot of stuff in our stockpiles that we haven't touched in a while. Stuff that we have no need for, spare furniture, some betattered clothing, of course. We can't really do much with it here, but maybe these humans can make use of it. It is a shame, though, that we can't get Wisp over here to be our broker. Just not in the mood for it, I suppose. Plus, with her injuries, it makes things difficult. So we have reverted to using Gutter as our broker. The old standby. That's fine, though. Ultimately, it's probably for the best. We're trading with the humans again, might as well put our best foot forward. We will find something for Wisp to do. Just gonna take some time, I think. We'll get her turned around soon enough. No worries. But yes, how about that trade? Let's get to it, humans. See what we can get. And there we have it, good doing business with the humans. We managed to get some food from them, but not much else. I think they're so used to us not trading with them that they just didn't think to bring that much. That's okay though, because you know what? Starting right now, we're gonna start producing something here. We've said this so many times over the years and just have not followed through on it, but no, this time we're gonna do it. But what do you think we could produce? Well, first things first, we have a lot of work to do here in our meeting hall, trying to nicen up the floor a bit. It's a really tedious job, trying to get those cobalt blocks down on the floor, We also have to get them smoothed and engraved. We have a couple more hands to help out with the work now, but it's still a pretty huge task. But we're gonna try to speed through that, and actually, as I'm sitting here, starting to get an idea of something we can trade. We do have this massive clump of dogs, don't we? I mean, they're just sitting around here. It'd be really nice if we could trade our own breed of Spearcavern Lemlornetig, but that's not gonna happen, I don't think. So, I mean, we could just shovel some of these dogs into a cage and trade those off. Easy enough. On top of that, I suppose we do have a devilish number of Drunians over here too. We could probably do the same for them, huh? Yeah, why the hell not? Dogs and Drunians, that'd be a hell of an export. Very interesting. It does make me wonder what other kinds of creatures we could capture and trade as well. Unfortunately, we don't have access to the caverns anymore, and from the sounds of it, it's a horrible mess out there these days. All sorts of forgotten beast activity, just crashing through the trees and starting fires and spraying webs, spitting spittle. At this point, it'd be very difficult to get back out there too. Safely, anyways. Not that it'd be impossible. It might be something to consider. That said, we do have a whole surface area up here too that we could lay some traps out in. Maybe we should do that. The animals out here aren't quite as interesting, but who knows? We'd probably be well served to get on the task of just throwing some cages out and see what we can grab. The giant birds out here would be a pain in the ass to try to capture, but there are a lot of them. A prized catch would be one of the giant alligators that seldom walk through here. I don't think we can get a breeding pair, but a dwarf can dream. That would be something. Actually, back over here in the Cobalt Room, I just had a thought. We were about to start cramming these dogs into a cage, and it had occurred to me that we could train them into war dogs. That should increase their value a bit. And so yes, the crab is on the task presently. as you can see. Really getting him nice and trained, too. He has really turned out to be quite an excellent animal trainer. Just look as he finely tempers their aggression, honing it much like a blade. Excellent work there, Krabby. It's a shame we couldn't do this for the Drunians, but what can you do? And actually, having a look around here, I just realized all these cobalt blocks are in place now. Doesn't that look nice? Got a bit of contrast going. We might continue on and attempt to finish off the rest of this place with cobaltite too. Yeah, I'm not too sure. We'll give it a rest for now, though. The dwarves deserve it. Yeah, and actually, on second thought, it's probably for the best that we have the crab training war dogs as our export. He's in high spirits and can handle the task by himself. That will allow everyone else to just kind of relax for now. That is something we need. Pop hasn't been feeling too good either these days. As we've said, Tinny's death has really been weighing heavy on her. Grief could be a terrible burden. But like with Wisp, I'm sure she's going to turn around at some point, or at least keep things relatively steady. However, I'm thinking that some of our dwarves who are in very high spirits could probably take on a little extra burden. Like we have Queen Bee over here. She's in a stellar mood, and I'm sure she also realizes that it's kind of her fault that the dwarves have been working so hard recently. She keeps a very tight schedule, that's for sure. So how about we get Queen Bee to start setting up some cage traps? That'd be a good idea, I think. Yeah, let's get to it, Queenie. You're far more than capable. We all know that. And so, first things first, I think we'll come up to the surface here and clear away some of these trees. The forest has been encroaching onto our little shrine home. Gotta make some room. And yes, it's lovely weather today, isn't it? Mid-autumn, nice and warm. Still got a bit of bugs out, but what are you gonna do? We're in a swamp. You know, we really haven't done all that much wood cutting while here in Spearcavern. Seems a shame. It's a good resource. Should put it to use. And that's exactly what we're going to be doing right now. Just going to get a couple of these trees cut down, and then we're going to build a carpenter's workshop over here. Just like that. We're going to start pumping out some cages, wooden cages made from surface trees. We're going to make a whole slew of the things. We're going to need a lot if we want a chance at catching those giant alligators or any other cool surface beasties. Oh, what was that? Got a bit of a commotion down in the fortress here. Let's have a look. It appears to be Wisp, much as I suspected. She's in a bad mood, throwing a tantrum right now. And it looks like she's toppled one of our steel statues for our founding dwarves. Specifically the statue of Gutter. She's toppled the thing over. It's laying on its side over here now. I'd like to think it wasn't over something as petty as him becoming the broker again. Come on, Wisp. It can't be like that, huh? I'm sorry. We need to be able to trade. We've really got to figure out something that she can do, huh? Luckily, the statue doesn't appear to be damaged at all. Just got to get it set back up again. No biggie. There we go. Thank you, Crab. Yeah, okay. Wisp, let's see. How about this? We're gonna get you down to the barracks. Could probably use some good training, huh? Bit of exercise never hurt anyone, right? Look, we have Ral down here with you, and you know what? I'm gonna set up your own squad, make you the leader, and we're gonna get our 2 new dwarves in here as well. Stack and Whack. I'm sure they're off finding some gear right now. We actually need to make some new gear for them. I don't think they have any weapons or armor or anything to wear. Just something to add to our list. There we go. Yep, gonna get some training in. Whip these dwarves into shape there, Wisp. You certainly know what you're doing, and that knowledge is going to be useful. We'll just leave these guys to it for a while. And in the meantime, we're going to head back up to the surface and begin work on another project. Actually, this is just below the surface. And you can see we have Pop digging out a chamber just in this sand here. We got to get serious with making those cage traps up on the surface. No more half measures, or rather no measures. That seems to be the way we like to do things around here. Come up with a plan, then never implement it. No, we're doing this one. We're going to dig out this chamber here so that we can get a nice place near the surface where we can put cages and mechanisms. Just so we can start pumping out those cage traps ASAP. And if they have to be reloaded, it'd be nice to have cages right here next to the surface too. There'll be a quick turnaround when catching beasts. Very handy. Just gonna get it nicened up a bit, put up some wood walls, might as well, right? We have so much, it's fairly light, easy to work with. It is a funny thing that dwarves are absolutely fine with having stone walls, obviously. But when it comes to sand or dirt, we'd rather cover them up with wood. Something we would often consider to be an inferior material, in many ways. Just fleeting thoughts. But yes, that didn't really take that long at all. Only a couple months, really. Try to keep some of our happier dwarves on the task, too. And doesn't that look nice? And now that that project's coming to a close, we're going to come down underground here and make some more diorite blocks as well. We got to work on our entryway just a tad. A while ago, we had heard rumors that in these savage areas, way out in the wilderness, that the wildlife can be a bit more aggressive than in other places. And we believe that aggression is linked to the cutting down of trees, which we've been doing a lot more of. Now I'm thinking that once we get some cage traps in place, then we'll want to cut down some more trees to agitate the local wildlife, thereby causing them to attack us, thereby causing them to get caught in cages. But if they try to get into our fortress, it would do well to have a lot more cage traps centered around our entrance here, wouldn't it? So we're trying to come up with a layout that will aid that plan. I think it's going to work out pretty well. Have a bunch of columns here kind of spread out, bit of a roof above, and cage traps scattered throughout. This on top of the cage traps that we're going to scatter throughout the wilds surrounding us. Feeling more and more positive about this idea. I think it's going to work out pretty darn well. And actually, one more little thing that we've done is over here towards Rofa's shrine, we're cutting down some trees, and you can see now we've begun digging. We had Pop come over here and start digging out, I'm going to call it a moat, but not really. What we want to do here is prevent people from walking into Rofa's shrine on accident. If anybody coming to our shrine arrives from the southeast and tries to enter our fortress, then they're going to walk straight through the shrine. But if we dig a big trench kind of between the shrine and our entrance, then they'll have to go around, right? So that's what we did. Got a big pit here, and we've carved out the ramps on the side too. This should work out pretty darn well, I'm thinking. And maybe we'll continue it all the way around in the future. Oh, you hear that? Looks like we have some visitors here, coming in from the south. I didn't realize how long it's been. I suppose we have been pretty busy though, with all the digging and projects. We have the human traders here. Once again, it's been a full year already. Goodness me. Yes, they're coming in from the south, and looks like they're gonna be, kind of cutting it close to Rofa here, actually. I don't think they've ever come in at an angle like this. Usually they come in from the north or the west. But it looks like they are passing by Rofa absolutely fine, thankfully. Oh boy. Okay, well, that's not going to be too good for our fortress's reputation, I don't think. It looks like we have a merchant and a guard down from the humans. Both absolutely clobbered by Rofa. That is going to damage our rep, yes. Go figure, though. We've been here for such a long time, the humans have never had trouble with Rofa. And now that we've built this trench, of course we run into trouble, right? Seems awfully silly to me. But here we are. Damn it. Oh, well, that's good. Looks like the humans have been scared away entirely. I suppose that shouldn't be surprising. After being attacked by a marsh titan like that, they've decided not to trade. Oh, that is so bad. Worse yet, we have this cage here that's absolutely cram-packed with war dogs and Drunians. They're keeping it together pretty alright in here, but there's a number of them in there. That's okay though, we'll just trade them to the dwarves. They should be here next season, so it shouldn't take that long. We'll come up with something better to trade with the humans next year. Also, just a little side note, we've made a chamber over on the side here. This is going to be for storage of items that we intend to trade. Pretty handy, right? Banged it out. 2 shakes. Real easy. We also closed up this tunnel that was over here that led down to the lower fortress. That was a long time coming. Glad to finally get it done. Old Spearcavern is looking nicer and nicer by the day. And speaking of improvements, we have some additional changes over here in Spearcavern's chapel. Kind of hard to note, but if you look down there to the south and over there on the west wall too, we have a bunch of bookcases going in. They'll be up shortly. But our plan, something we haven't talked about that much, is to turn this area into a library and a shrine too. We figure what the hell. It's a big old space, plenty of room in here, and what we've been doing is kind of like switching these areas back and forth. You can see that there's nobody in here right now, and that's because we don't have this place designated as a temple currently. What we've been doing is like having a scheduled temple time, and then a meeting hall time, and then a barracks time. It's just kind of like shifting throughout the year, you know, just so we can get all of our needs balanced. But it looks like we're gonna have to add a library time into our rotation too. I think that'd be rather neat. Soon enough. Oh, but I'm hearing some commotion up above, and if we have a look, looks like the dwarven merchants have arrived. Safely, too, unlike the humans. Love to see it. The dwarves are bringing some items to the trade depot as we speak. Whole bunch of stuff too, stuff we had tried to trade with those humans, but there's a lot of big items in here. Stone items, and this cage too for that matter. Let's get that brought in too. Okay, so that's going to be our trade right there. It was not a great one, unfortunately. Nothing to write Mountain Home about, that's for damn sure. Just got a little bit of food, and that's really about it. Didn't realize it, but the dwarves didn't bring their full wagons. Just a couple beasts of burden here. They really couldn't take that much furniture. And we were kind of dragging our feet a bunch too, so we couldn't get this cage down to trade that either. We are really just a lot of bad traders here in Spearcavern. Not good at all. Well, that's okay. I suppose it's just... bit of a commotion. 1 second, let's go have a look. Uh-oh. Something happened. Damn it. Goodness, that was the crab right there, getting chased by Rofa. Absolutely hounded, too. The Titan was right on his heels that entire time he was trying to escape. And he was only able to escape after a giant buzzard swooped down and started pecking at Rofa. Very strange. It kind of swooped in and went straight for the big bastard. And having a look over here now, it looks like Rofa dealt with the giant buzzard, no problem. That's not surprising. But it was such an aggressive creature, that buzzard. Maybe our tree-chopping endeavors are paying off already, agitating the wildlife. That said, I don't want to move on too quickly. That was a super close call. It does seem like the swamp is becoming a little bit more dangerous these days, doesn't it? Well, glad the crab escaped unscathed, too. Love to see it. Oh, what's this now? Having a look over here at our cage-trapped entrance, you can see that one of these cages is indeed filled. It has an occupant, a giant buzzard. Well, isn't that nice? Wonderful. Okay, so we have a giant buzzard of our own now. A female, looks to be, and it is indeed agitated. Okay, I suppose I am hoping that we can tame that thing like a normal beastie. Unsure. We'll have to give it a try. Oh my goodness, would you have a look here? Down in our fortress now, and it looks like we have another giant buzzard. Agitated giant buzzard, a female, and another one as well. We have several giant buzzards, both males and females. Oh, that is excellent, ain't it? Very good to see. We're gonna have to start setting up some plans immediately. Rather, on second thought, maybe we shouldn't be putting too much time and effort into building a giant enclosure for these buzzards. I mean, we're pretty excited about it. Of course we're excited about it, but we tend to get carried away too on our projects. And at this particular moment, we're super excited about it. So maybe we should just dial it back, give it a second, not go too overboard, and it's done. Oh no. Yeah, that took a little bit of doing right there. I hate to glaze over it that quickly, but we really didn't miss that much. I mean, think about it. We were talking about trading animals. This benefits that end an awful lot, doesn't it? We were going to trade dogs and Drunians. They're really not worth that much. Actually, come to think of it, I don't know how much a giant buzzard is worth, but they're cool. We could trade them. We could use their eggs, too. That's very important. And now, look at this. We got a nice place to put them. Isn't that dandy? It took a while. Whole lot of tree cutting, and we didn't see any other agitated beasties while it was happening either, which is great. But yeah, look at that. Got a bunch of happy buzzards in here. Crab has them all trained up, and a few of them have even laid eggs now. My goodness, we're going to be inundated soon, aren't we? Excellent. Okay. Very cool. Now, then, I know that was like a fun little thing that we did there, saying that we're not going to spend any time building that enclosure, but then doing it anyways and kind of skipping past it. But that caused the dwarves to have to work an awful lot for a long time. And now we have to relax just a bit, I think. Would probably be for the best. And you can see we're already on top of that. We have a bunch of dwarves down here in our meeting hall, the Cobalt Room, that is kind of hanging out, talking, chatting, telling some stories, telling some poetry. I have noticed that we're getting less and less visitors here. It's still open for visitors, but not so many are showing up anymore. That's probably not a good sign, huh? What, are we not entertaining enough? My goodness. Looking at our dwarven happiness right now, it's pretty much as we've seen it before. Wisp and Pop are the only really kind of unhappy dwarves. They're not the worst they could be, but they're not very happy either. But you know, as long as we can keep them relatively stable, I could be happy with that. We're trying our best. And something else we'd like to try is getting our dwarves down here in our library. You can see it's all done now. We have all those bookcases in place, as well as a bunch of tables and chairs and chests too. I think we're pretty much good to go. We have not actually set it up as an official library yet, so let's get to that. Okay, we're gonna have it open to everyone, just like our tavern up above. Maybe we can attract some scholars or something. Just seeing as how the Cobalt Room is not doing so great these days. And we're going to name this location Zalirable, the Eternal Vault. Not gonna have an official scholar or scribe at the time being, but I suppose if dwarves want to do some writing while they're down here, they can do that if they like. Okay, we got a whole bunch of dwarves in here, as well as a ton of dogs for some reason. And it doesn't look like anybody is reading books or engaging in discussions of a scholarly variety. Everyone's just kind of standing around curious what to do. Well, maybe if we give them some time, they'll start talking about something. Who knows? Oh, here we go. Boggy's reading something. He's reading an anhydrite-bound codex that consists of a one-page manual entitled Better Star Charts, authored by Olin Atoletmos. It concerns the creation of star charts. The writing has a very serious tone, and it is very compassionate. Overall, the prose is amateurish at best. Okay, I mean, one page bound up about star charts. Not exactly a thrilling read, I don't think. Oh well. We'll have to keep our eyes open for some other reading materials, I think. Maybe try to start trading for books and scrolls specifically. Might be a good idea. Oh, and hey, here we go. We have Wisp over here reading a book. Well, that is excellent to see. Wisp is reading a copy of The Music, Fact or Fiction, a vellum scroll. The rollers are made of brimstone. Written on this scroll is a manual authored by Nerzung Snangagak. It concerns the rhythmic smile as a musical form. The writing is very concise, yet it has a hint of viciousness to it. Overall, the prose is amateurish at best. Again, maybe not the most exhilarating read, but she can read it. Very good to see. Gives her another hobby she could do around the fortress here. That's the most important thing. Yeah, we're really gonna have to get our hands on some more books, I think. Our dwarves seem to be appreciating the concept well enough right now. Let's build on that. One of my big concerns with this library is that Wisp could not read. I mean, obviously she can read, but like handling a book because she's missing a hand and the other one doesn't have a grasp to it. I thought maybe she wouldn't be able to actually hold a book to read it, but it looks like she's able to flip the things open just on the bookshelf here and just kind of read it that way. She's not actually handling the book, I suppose. And then when she's done with it, she just leaves it on the bookshelf. Excellent, that works out very well. Now, I'm not sure about writing books or if she'd even be of a mind to do so, but we'll have to test that in the future, huh? Might be an idea. Okay. Also, that's an interesting change, too. I'm noting that Wisp is not nearly as unhappy as she was just recently, and that's because she has a new romance. Very interesting. Oh, and it's not with the crab either. No, her new lover is Boggy. Okay. So she broke up with the crab a while back, a few years back, and the two of them have stayed separate ever since, but now she's with Boggy. The relationships of dwarves, how very complex. Love to see it. Okay, maybe things are turning around for Wispy here. That is excellent. I am noting too that she is now friends with Stack and Whack as well. That's not surprising to see. Both of them seem like very bubbly and friendly personalities, but I'm sure befriending those two has also benefited her immensely. Very happy to see it. Hang in there, Wispy. We got this. Don't you worry one little bit. Also, just while we're down here, you may notice some rats kind of swimming around in this water, just over on the other side of this wall. And that's because we have a large volume of trash in this water. We figured we'd put it on this side of our meeting hall tavern area, just so because we do have a well that draws water from the western side. But this eastern side here, this is where the trash goes. Giant buzzard carcasses, dead animals when they pass away from old age. It all gets thrown into this water here, and then the rats come down and they swim around in this broth. It's quite disgusting, but it gets the job done, I suppose. Just in case you saw it. Also, it keeps the stink down. That's something important to note. As long as the trash falls down under like a layer of water, then the stink won't come out. It'll just kind of stay down here. It's a very excellent solution to our garbage problem, I feel. But yes. Oh, a bit of a commotion somewhere again. Let's have a look. Well, it looks like we were attacked by some agitated birds once again, though this time they weren't buzzards, they were sparrows. One had swooped down over our entrance and attacked Wisp, who had just went outside. Luckily, she was wearing that armor, but she also was very quick with her feet, too, apparently. She was dodging away. I don't even think she got hit once, but that thing was certainly trying. She hung in there for a bit, and then Ral came outside, her faithful war dog, and started attacking the creature. Really did quite a bit of damage. But then Stackhud came outside too and also helped. She's the one who killed it with her pick. Stackhud to the rescue. Good to see. Man, oh man. Okay, so this swamp is becoming rather dangerous with all these agitated animals around. But once again, our cage traps over here came in handy, because now it looks like we have a couple of these giant agitated sparrows. And luckily, we have this giant aviary over here in place now, so we could just, tame them up and throw them in there, get some eggs. Now, these birds here are about the same size as the giant buzzards, more than 3 times bigger than a dwarf. And as for their value, we've done some testing on that whole thing, and they are on par with the giant buzzards as well. Just to put it in perspective, Drunians are worth a bit more than dogs. Almost twice as much, actually. But dogs aren't worth that much. They're so common, But these giant birds here are worth 10 times as much as a Drunian, just as they are. So that's pretty good too, and that's just the animal as it stands. That's not considering its products. Its bones and skin and stuff. We could definitely do something with that. I don't think its bones are of higher quality than normal animals, but we do get a lot more of them, so maybe we could do something with that. Some crafts, bone crafts. Might be an interesting export, don't you think? And also something else to note is that giant sparrows give eggs too, a bit more eggs than giant buzzards. Giant buzzards give maybe 2 or 3 at a time, while giant sparrows give 2 to 7. That's not so shabby at all. We're going to have a lot of giant sparrows around, and giant buzzards too for that matter. Wonderful. Finally, we have something worthwhile to export. I guess that'd be the trick. We have to actually export things for once. Oh, Spearcavern. Now then, back to fortress affairs. We are still hard at work on this trench moat thing that we're building around Rofa's shrine, but it has not been easy. It is coming along, but we're kind of at a point where we have to finish up the southern portion of it, and that seems to be where Rofa likes to hang out, for the most part. So whenever we head down that way, Rofa sees our dwarves and goes running off after them. It's a whole mess. Luckily, Rofa is a little lazy, doesn't really follow for all that long. Hasn't been a problem. There's been no close encounters like with Crab earlier. That said, we haven't been pushing it either. I'm thinking that we'll have to stretch out the southern portion of this trench a little bit farther than where the shrine is, just to kind of ensure that nobody gets too close. The trench itself is 2 Z levels deep, and it is a sharp drop-off on the shrine side, just to make sure Rofa can't, hop down into there. I mean, I'm sure Rofa could if they wanted to, but it wouldn't be easy, I don't think. Man, now that's got me thinking, what would happen if Rofa did fall off the side into the trench? Wouldn't be able to get back up to the shrine. That could be a problem. Well, nothing to get too worried about. Actually, that's something of note too. Since we've been starting this work over here, and actually I suppose it could account for our lack of visitors lately, Rofa has killed a couple visitors, including ones that we've seen recently. There was a strange-looking undead dwarven poet that showed up when we first made the Cobalt Room. They were killed, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, their remains are somewhere around here. Wandered into Rofa's shrine and was absolutely pulverized. Trying to think, there was a few weirdos, weren't there? There was that one monster slayer. They were killed, obviously. And there was actually another dwarven monster slayer that showed up too that we didn't even notice it happened. They just kind of showed up and wandered into the shrine and were murdered. This Rofa is one hell of a killer. Certain death if you invade its shrine. Sort of endearing in a way. Kind of a sick and bloodthirsty way, but endearing nonetheless. Really making us want to finish up this trench here, just to make sure nobody else gets killed going in here trying to hunt glory, because the only thing to be found in Rofa's shrine is grim death. That much is certain. Yes. But besides that, everything in Spearcavern is going well these days. Just trucking along forward. We'll have some nice animal-based exports soon. Maybe come up with a crafting area by the aviary. Might be pretty handy. Yes, I think the next time those humans show up, we'll have some very interesting things to trade with them. And the dwarves too, for that matter. And also maybe with some good trade that'll bolster our name at the mountain homes, or with that human civilization. Get some more visitors that way. We can only hope. But then we'll have to wait for tomorrow. For today, it's time to clock out, dwarves. Let's go get a drink. And with that, my bearded bastards, we're going to start talking about some behind the scenes. things. It has been a little bit since I put out an episode, huh? And that's because I was trying to finish up that Path of Akra episode there that I was working on. That did take quite a bit of time to get done, huh? But I'm glad people liked it well enough. Also, I did spend some time making the intro for this episode too. I had to dash it up a little bit. Usually those things only take me about a week to do, a devoted week. This time I was trying to pace myself though, and well, ended up turning into 2 weeks, and plus a little bit even on top of that. Didn't help that it was one of my most, I would say, technically impressive intros that I've done. For me anyways, you know, I'm just trying to I'm self-taught, so I'm trying to figure out new things and put them in place. Get the job done. I hope you liked it. I'll tell you that much. Also, another thing that happened these past couple of weeks was the Adventure Mode beta dropped for the Steam release, and I got super excited about that. My plan was to because I had this episode here halfway done when that finally dropped, so I was like, oh man, maybe I should just pump out a quick Adventure Mode episode, you know, see what we could do in there. But I gave it a little test run, played it for a couple hours, and it is missing an awful lot. There would be no sense in starting actual Adventure Mode playthrough at this point. As it is, Adventure Mode is a bit difficult to manage in the first place. It doesn't really lend itself to a very epic story, which I mean, I guess you could say the same for Dwarf Fortress, but at least in Dwarf Fortress, there's more options. In Adventure Mode, it's pretty limited most of the time. And with this beta version of Adventure Mode, it's missing even more, so yeah, I think we'll just wait a little bit. But yes, it was good to get back to Spearcavern, I'll tell you that much. As I've said in the past, I don't really know how long this series is going to go on for, but we will play it by ear. I really like playing it, and I really, really like the characters. Not that I could see stories coming out of any of them. Interesting stories, that is, which is kind of like real life in a way. You know, I don't really play these things because I could see a potential story in the works. I just kind of play it to see what will happen, and then illustrate it and kind of interpret the events and stuff. It's fun for me, and I assume it's fun for you too, because why the hell else would you be watching? That said, I do frequently wonder if it's best to move on to something else. I sometimes kind of wonder if I should have just ended the series at episode 10. You know, it felt kind of momentous, and we probably should have moved on at that point, but man, do I get stubborn with myself. It's no, let's dig our heels in, let's keep going. I guess really either way it'll be fine. The one thing I get concerned about is you know, it's one thing for me to have fun and be invested in a story. That's why I do these things. I do it because I'm having fun, not really so much that I think you guys are having fun, which I mean, that sounds selfish. I get that. But it's also what I've done this entire time. That's what I've been doing since the very beginning, and people like it. So I figure it's in service to my audience to do what I want to do. That being said, if what I'm doing is not very up people's alley, then it's gonna make people bored, and if people get bored, then I won't get support, and if I don't get support, then I won't be able to live. So it's I don't know, what do I do? It's constantly being on the knife's blade of screw it, I'm gonna do what I want. Or crap, I should probably listen to what people are saying, you know? Whatever, screw it, I'm just gonna do what I want. This series here is probably going to end up continuing on for a bit, I would say, because why the hell not? We're in a flow. I just made this new intro. Might as well get some mileage out of it, huh? I want to dig down deeper. I want to see what's under this damn fortress. But the dwarves are inevitably a little bit scared at the time being. I don't blame them for taking it easy, but who knows what the future will bring. Maybe this complacency will get boring for them. I could see that happening, definitely. And hopefully we'll be around to see it. Anyways, my bearded bastards, I thank you so much for watching and for your support. It is constantly amazing to me that people still want to watch my content after such a long time. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you for watching today. I hope you had fun, and I certainly hope to see you next time here in Locum Corzugabla Lokukun Obak, a Spearcavern with a grand granite shrine of pillars. And until then, you bearded bastards,